All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Random Banter Podcast. This is episode 86, and today I have with me a very, very special guest. You might know him from his most recent album, Saratoga, as well as performing in a lot of venues around the country. He's currently on tour. Welcome, Eddie 9volt, to the podcast. Eddie, how you doing today? Doing good?
I'm doing great, brother. Thanks for having me, man. It's been good. We actually we've been off the road just for like this first week. We've been on the road since January, basically. So,
Wow.
but I think we're basically done with the hard touring for the rest of the year. But I'm doing great, taking some days off,
Yeah, yeah,
going to the lake as much as I can, and just trying to clear my mind before I go back out to
yeah.
Vegas. Place is a little crazy, man.
Oh yeah. Hey, I can imagine that. Yeah, yeah. So what's the touring life like? Like what's I've never been on tour, so like what's it like?
It's the greatest adventure in the world for free. I'll say that. We're just now to the point where we're starting to make a little bit of money where I don't really have to worry about, what I buy on the road as far as like what to eat.
Yeah,
But no, man, being on the road is one of the greatest adventures you can ever do.
yeah.
And, to do it with your brothers. One of the members is actually my brother, Lane.
Oh wow.
Actually. But yeah, it's just great to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some ebbs and flows. Some nights there's it's just a crowd isn't the way you want it to be, or they're not giving it to you, and just I've really hit that stride of where I walk into a hotel now and I walk down the room, like the hallway. I'm just like, God, I've seen this since I was 17, a different hotel every night. But no, I love it, man. I wouldn't do anything else in the world, man.
Hey, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. So your instrument that you play is the guitar. So like how'd you get into that? Like how long have you been playing it for?
Well, I actually started out as a drummer, and I'm still a drummer.
Oh,
On Saratoga, I'd probably say probably over 50% of that was me on drums, and I really take pride being a drummer. If I
yeah.
was a lead singer and a guitar player, I would honestly play drums because honestly I miss it so much.
Yeah.
Um, but I started out playing drums, and we were in a death metal band, me and my brother, and I remember we just weren't making any. Well, granted, I was 13, always hustling, but we just weren't getting gigs. It was tough, but it realistically was a bar wasn't going to hire a 13-year-old. So literally we did that for a while, and then my buddy at high school, or middle school actually, he told me, he goes, well, hey, my dad's band's playing at the local diner, and if you want to sing some songs, we got an hour to open up. And sure enough, I did that, and I learned. I played a little bit of guitar, but not much. But I went right into learning. The easiest things when you're learning guitar is learn CCR. That's Creedence Clearwater Revival. Some of the
Uh-huh.
easiest stuff to learn. So we just did like 10 of their songs, and it was the first time I got to sing on a microphone and play solos. And there's actually a video of it somewhere online. I recently posted it, but it's like me in a fedora and all that, and I just rocked out at a solo, and the crowd went nuts. And basically from that night on, I knew that I was going to be a singer and guitar player for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I heard you mention like a bit of CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Were there any like other artists that like you loved to listen to as a kid that like kind of inspired you to pursue being in a band?
Exactly, man. I'll say the art that artist is the Beatles, man. I know it's. I'm not even gonna say it's cliche. I still think the Beatles are probably the top, two artists in the world. I don't know who's my favorite, to be honest, but I know Beatles are probably up there. They taught me a lot. I went from doing death metal and worshiping Satan to singing harmonies with the Beatles, and I love the Beatles. They transformed me, man. They taught me about harmony, and they taught me about just like all this amazing, like, and then they got me into recording, and that's really what I like. I like to do the most, honestly, other than play live. Playing live is how I make my money. But honestly, I just love, we're in my home studio now. And I just love recording. I can remember being like 15, 16 years old, just trying to recreate those Beatles drum sounds and guitar sounds. And that's really kind of was my inspiration, was listening to all those 70s and late 60s rock and roll artists, 10 years after, Can Heat, all those guys. And then once I started learning those, then I realized I kind of just went back. I saw all these old blues guys in the thumbnails on the right of the page on YouTube, and all of a sudden I was listening to Muddy Waters, I was listening to Howlin' Wolf, Freddie King, and it was just going back. So I just love to study the whole structure of all the decades in music, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with all of that experience with music, like when did you first start to decide that you wanted to make music, that you wanted to like create your own stuff?
Well, I've never been good academically. I never was good at sports either, and I knew when I was in high school I was going to have to figure something out, and I
Yeah.
was about to go to. I actually did the college, whatever the college test is. This shows you how bad I am. Whatever the college comprehensive test to get into community college, I went and took that test, and I got out. I knew I flunked it. I knew it was terrible. But then that day we got an offer to do a 2 month long tour in our old band we used to play with an artist named Dorothy, a lovely singer, and yeah, and that was like my first test of the real road. We've done going up to New York every once in a while doing all this, but this was from New York City to Seattle and all the way in between and everything. And I think I was 20 years old when I got to do that, and that's what really got me into doing music, and that was my first taste of it. And so yeah, about since then, that's when we probably have been going full, not having to worry about getting another job. And now we have had to worry about that, but no, the only job I ever had was during the pandemic, and it was at Guitar Center. And it was to get proof of income to buy an apartment. But
Right.
I haven't had any jobs. I've just been doing music since I was about 17 professionally.
Wow, that's the life. That's the way to go. Yeah. So, I know you mentioned you've been in a couple of different bands, but like your current band, right now, how'd you form? How did you guys like meet? Just you can just give the spark notes. You don't have to give the whole the whole thing.
I'll go on forever. No, basically, me, we were playing in our old band, Preacher Van, and we still have music online. I love that band. It's still
Mhm.
good, such good music. But we were just kind of spinning our wheels. We had a bad manager at the time, and I needed some way to make money, and so that's kind of where the Eddie Nine Volt. It started out as Brooks Mason Blues Band, but then I changed the name. But we basically just started this band to play taverns and stuff and blues clubs around town to make a little extra money when we were off the road with Preacher Band. So that's really how it started. And yeah, I don't know. Our shows got attention in Atlanta, and then it started driving some more industry people. And yeah, it's been just building and building. I mean, we've gone from playing 100 cap clubs to playing Red Rocks. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, obviously, speaking of Red Rocks, like that was one of my questions on the list. Like, I mean, just talk about that. Like, that's awesome.
And that was pretty wild what happened. One of the craziest stories of my career. Basically, I was in Nashville recording with Dan Arbach, who's our new producer for our newest record with Easy Eye Sound. And so we were recording, and we got done, and my other guys were coming in to the Airbnb. And I just gotten told the news, and I wanted to wait to tell them in person. So they pulled up. I said, "All right, you guys might want to sit down." And because it's a lifelong dream of every if you're a musician to play Red Rocks. It's like Royal Albert Hall, Sydney Music Hall or Opera House. But yeah, so we got my manager called me. He goes, "Hey, can you do Red Rocks?" I said, "Yeah." When we talking like a few months, he goes, "No, I need you. Can you do it Monday?" It was Thursday.
Whoa.
Yeah. So literally in a few hours, of course, you don't say no to that. No, even if you have to rack into debt to go, but luckily we didn't have to do that. But we met in few hours. We had all the hotels and all the flights booked, and it was just like my mom got to go, my wife got to go, everybody got to go. It was amazing, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys opened for ZZ Top
That's
at
right.
one. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, how'd you coordinate that? Like, how did that work out?
Well, it was probably 90% luck and 10% just opportunity.
Fair. Yeah.
My man, um, at Madison Square Garden. He manages Grace Potter, who was opening up for Chris Stapleton, and he's an amazing manager. Alex is my manager, and he overheard ZZ Top's manager backstage talking about how they need an opener for Red Rocks. So of course he beelined it down there. He goes, "I got a great blues band." And so they basically said, "Yeah, Billy will check it out." Billy is the lead singer of ZZ Top, and he said he'd check it out, and sure enough, the next morning he goes, "Yeah, they're good. Let's get them to open." So that's how that happened. It was just like
Wow. Yeah, it was just an instant, like in a night. Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So with one of your albums, like your most recent album, Saratoga, like what was some of the process behind like creating that, like going into that?
Well, we've started out the record kind of like how we start out a lot of records with a cohesive idea, and then we kind of completely change halfway. But we started out working with Pat Meese, who's the drummer of Nathaniel Rateliff in the Night Sweats, and he was producing us in Denver. And so we cut, I think, Halo, Saratoga, and Delta, and a few songs. So we cut it as a live band there in Denver, and then we came back. We were going to do another session. This was in 2022, and then he got COVID from being on the road, so that
Hmm.
kind of our session. So then we I mean we have our home studio here, so we just kind of said, look, we'll do half of it there and half of it here, and a lot of it was just I was listening to a lot of Link Ray, who's one of my favorite artists of all time, JJ Cale, and also just trying to improve our songwriting. Is every song we write, I try to make it better than the last, and unfortunately, that's not possible. But yeah, it was just really cool to I set up on a lot of times. I would come over here and set up a few mics and just record this and go on the drums, record that, and go on the guitar and record that and sing it. And so it was just a really laid back production value. There was no
Yeah.
anything, and that, you can kind of hear
Yeah.
that on the record, not like tense a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly probably the best that it can be with it being being super laid back, no like major bumps in the road or anything like that. So with like all the songs that you've created, is there like maybe one in particular that like stands out to you as one that's like special to you in some way?
Yeah, honestly, one of my favorite songs we wrote was a song called Red River, and that's off the new record.
Yeah.
And it's a very JJ Cale inspired song. I really like that one. That was one that kind of sat on our hard drive for like a year and a half. I just couldn't come up with any lyrics, and I just one time I was on a flight coming back home from Denver, I think, and I wrote the lyrics about being in the plane and just kind of traveling, being miles away from a love and all that stuff. But I mean, I go back and I always listen to our first record, Little Black Flies, man. I mean, just it's crazy. Like that was almost 5 years ago now, and I mean, I think total like 8 musicians in this tiny living room right here making a record, and we were doing a live blues record. It sounds so good, and
Yeah.
might have been a little inebriated, a little hammered,
Hey,
but
why
somehow
not?
those old blues records are made.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how the best stuff gets made. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, with like with your stuff that you've got coming up, I remember before we started the episode, you said you were headed to Vegas soon. Do you got any other like, I mean, obviously stuff that you can say, but like, do you have any other like dates of stuff coming up? Obviously, there's the rest of your tour,
Yeah.
but like any other gigs you're playing anywhere?
So, like I said, we're kind of done this year with the hard, multiple weeks tours. But we do have some shows left for the rest of the year. We're doing Vegas this week, Canada for the first time next week,
Yeah.
and um, and then we're doing a tour with Pigeons playing ping pong, which is a great jam band. We're playing in Wilmington, Raleigh, Atlanta, uh, Charlotte, I believe, and then we go out with them in Houston, Dallas, and Austin, Texas. And then other than that, man, I mean, I think it's we're gonna have a few vacations in there, and
Yeah.
uh, the main most exciting point I think in the rest of the year is that we're gonna be finishing up our newest album with on our new label with Dan Arbach, who's from the Black Keys. He's the lead singer
Ooh.
producing our new record. And
Okay.
yeah, I can't. We've already done about 3 or 4 songs, but I mean, shoot, we have probably another 12 to record and pick the best ones out of that litter.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited for. I think next year we're already planning some great tours
Yeah.
and going and keep the machine rolling, man.
Is Canada the first time you're performing out of the country?
No, so I've played all over Europe.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I've done Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, France, England, and all that. And we did a cruise where we went out and played in Greece. So I've been all
You've been
I've
all
been
over.
over there, man. I'd love to get back over there. It's amazing. It's beautiful over there.
Yeah.
And in America, there's so many towns, like in Oregon and all the way up in Massachusetts, you never even heard of it. It's some of the most beautiful places in the world, man.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah.
This job is getting to see, not only the big cities but the small ones too.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So, getting into the little end bits of the episode, there's a little segment that I like to do with some guests that I have on, since it kind of particularly pertains to you being in music and all. It's called Random Records. Basically, what it is we just talk about. I like to talk about like what kind of music like the people I have on like to listen to, just to get a wide scope of different music that people listen to. So I know obviously you play a lot of blues, you play a lot of like soul stuff. So I would assume that's what you listen to, but you also mentioned death metal earlier, so it makes me think you have a bit of a range. So what kind of stuff do you like to listen to?
Man, there's so much good stuff coming out this year. There was Jesse Wells. He did a new record. He's great. I like a lot of old stuff. I don't really listen to too much new stuff. I need to. I need to listen to more stuff. But like that Link Ray record is a great one. JJ Cale. I forget what it's called, but it's got a raccoon on it. And anything Freddie King, My Feeling for the Blues. Just any if, as far as soul, probably I don't know. I haven't anything by the Memphis stuff, by Al Green, Syl Johnson, stuff like that. It's some of my favorite music, man. But I'm all over the place, man. So I don't really listen to much metal anymore these days. But sometimes if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and we gotta drive 1 more hour, I'll throw on some death metal to keep us up.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I mean that'll get you going through through the rest of it. But yeah, so getting into the little end bits here, I do have one specific question that I didn't even think about before until right now. Where did I mean, I'm assuming where it came from, but where did the name Eddie 9 Volt come from? Like how'd you come up with that?
Well, it was going to be the Brooks Mason Blues Band, which I'm glad I didn't do because it would have pigeonholed us as a blues band, which we didn't want to do that. I just came up with the name as kind of like a mobster esque. We were just making jokes. I was calling my brother Tony, and he was calling me Eddie, and we were just talking like The Sopranos, and somehow 9 volt batteries are very synonymous with with guitar pedals and effects and stuff. So we just came up with the name Eddie 9 Volt, and it just kind of stuck, and it's a lot easier to remember. And it's
Yeah.
there's not Eddies anymore in the music industry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably a lot easier to like make hats and like merch with
I,
also.
I'm wearing my own. I'm shamelessly plugging myself here, but
Hey, I mean, you might as well do it. Like, why not? Yeah, yeah. So, one little thing before we sign off. On every single episode I have the guest shout out my friend's dad. His name's Chad Hankins. So, any shot you would mind giving a quick little shout out to Mr. Chad Hankins?
yeah, I'd like to make a shout out to Mr. Chad Hankins. He's my future buddy. He's going to be my cigar buddy, and he don't even know it yet. But I keep kicking it, brother, and I hope to see you soon.
Awesome, great, fantastic. Thank you so much. But yeah, so before we sign out, is would you like to just quickly plug yourself, like where people can follow you, like find your music, like tour dates, anything like that?
Yeah, everything you can find is on www.eddie9volt.com. We're on Instagram. I post there a lot. Facebook, I post there a lot. TikTok, I need to get better about, but I'm kind of sick of just posting on so many apps. But yeah, you can find us on YouTube everywhere. And just type in the Google bar Eddie 9 Volt, and you'll find us, man. We
Great.
got everything for sale, man.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on this episode. I feel like it was pretty good. You got anything before we sign off?
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Ethan, for having me. And like I said, best of luck with the podcast. And anytime, give me a holler, man.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. All right, so this has been episode 86 of the Random Banter Podcast. We had the musician Eddie 9 Volt on today. I'm your host Ethan, and thank you for listening and watching. So yeah, that's pretty much it.